Hey guys, so I'm gonna be filming a video here in my Snapchat, but I'm not gonna be posting it in my stories because normally when I post a video or when I film a Snapchat story or talk about my stories, I film them here in Snapchat and then post them and then nobody wants I don't think nobody wants to watch my Snapchat for the past I don't know minutes, so I'm like, you know what, let me just post it on YouTube, it's do that instead. So, the first thing I want to talk about is that a lot of people were asking, my family and friends were asking me, why did you leave your old jobs? Because I was supposed to work at Crumbl Cookie, and, I keep talking about is Crumbl Cookie, and they're like, okay, you should have just stayed in your old job, and I'm like, no, but they're, yeah, everyone was telling me, you should have just stayed in your old job. Why did you quit your job? Especially my family kept telling me that too. They're like, why did you quit your job? And I was like, because I was going through a lot. Not because of Chipotle. Chipotle was pretty decent, but I was just getting so annoyed. Where the point I was getting so frustrated that I was just I had enough. And Smashburger, it was I'm out. I can't deal with this. And yeah, so I was telling my friend this yesterday, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna start off by filming a video about this. 2022 was not really my year, and I don't think it was the year for everyone else. There were some good times in 2022, but then there was also some times that was what is going on, for everyone. And for me, the beginning of the year, let me just say 2022 New Year's was my worst day ever. The New Year's just started and it was already the worst day ever. But I want to talk about me working at Smashburger from when I started working there. It was fun for the past 2 months. I enjoyed it. I was getting paid pretty decent, pretty well, and around the mid of November / beginning of December was not it for me because one, the general manager from Smashburger was I don't know what she was she was a good manager because she was doing her job right, but then again she was moody to us, and she would sometimes give us attitude a little bit. Well, not a little bit, maybe just here and there, depending if something drives her crazy, or I don't know. But yeah, and then I would say January 1st. Yes, January 1st. Me and my mom I just moved with my mom at apartment, and it's only been 2 months since we moved together in an apartment. And January 1st, I tell you, it was the worst day. It was the worst day. New Year's just started. That day was the worst because the restaurant supervisor was in charge that day. I don't know what he thought, but he thought to bump the orders because we were busy at that day and we were short staffed. So he decided to bump the orders, which I don't know why. So that made us lost, and that made me lost. So we had to look at the receipts in the freaking tickets, and so we were lost. So he messed up. I don't know why he bumped those orders. I was like, I didn't say anything, but I was like, why did you bump those orders? I was like, oh my god, we're gonna be lost. And it caused drama because there was customers being like, I've been waiting for this and that. And then the restaurant supervisor was saying I'm so sorry, we're short staffed. We have so many orders and this and that. And then for some reason they just start arguing, and I was not having it because I was like, I am done. Like, and there was a snowstorm at that day in New Year's, and I was like, okay, I need to like call someone, call one of the managers, call the general manager of this store, or call a different general manager from another store that used to work with us, but she works at a different store location. And so I called her, because I was like, screw the general manager, she's probably not going to respond or reply. So I was like, screw her, like, let me call a different manager. And I call her, she answers, and I'm in the walk-in, and she's like, hello, and I was like, oh, like, we need help, the supervisor is arguing. I was like, the supervisor is arguing, I can't deal with this. Like, we need help, we're so busy and behind orders and everything. And he's yelling, and he was yelling so loudly. Him and this freaking customer were yelling so loud, and I was in the walk-in, and I was like, oh my god, you are such an embarrassment. He does not care. Like, I cannot with you. So he literally was arguing to one of the customers, and I was like, oh my god. And keep in mind, his girlfriend was there, the customer's girlfriend, and I don't even know if she did anything, or I don't know, or she was like, let's go, or I don't know. But yeah, and then the manager was saying that, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna make it, because if I get there, I'm gonna be there. I'm not gonna get there like until like an hour because of the snowstorm. And I was like, yeah. And then, so that day, we were still behind, and yeah, um, it was, it was, it was so much. She did tell me, the manager, when I was on the phone, she did tell me, like, if it still doesn't get better, just try to call me and see what I can do and whatever and this and that. And I'm like, okay. And then I get back, I was so freaking annoyed. I was so stressed out. And then next thing you know, the restaurant supervisor starts talking to one of the employees and says, I don't need two people to doing like the toppings of the sandwiches. I need someone to do fries. And keep in mind, I was doing fries most of the time, but I was sick of it. I was like, I'm not doing those fries, especially I'm lost in the sauce. Like, oh, looking at those, like, you bumped the screen. So I was like, I'm not doing fries. Like, I didn't say anything, but I was like, I'm not doing fries. And then the restaurant supervisor starts telling the employee, says, I need you to do fries. And then he starts cursing him out and says, I'm not doing fries, and isn't that okay, or whatever, or I'm not doing grill, because he was annoyed. And then he said, you know what, leave, clock out, leave. And then he left. And I was like, oh my god. And at that point, I wanted to cry. I wanted to leave. I wanted to, like, leave that job. And then the reason why I stayed, because I'm like, if I leave, there might be a chance I get fired. Because if I walk out. But then again, like, I'm pretty sure they would have understand, like, even though if I walked out, but I don't know. But I was just so stressed out that day. The good thing is, we left early. We closed early. Because it was just a whole mess. The restaurant supervisor told the DoorDashes, well, not DoorDashes, but the delivery people and the customers, and says, I'm so sorry. We're so busy. We're so behind. And he's like, I'm so sorry. It's taking so long. And then he told me, like, we're only taking the orders, and also I forgot to mention this, I was the only one in the kitchen. It was just me, some other employee that was in the kitchen that left, the restaurant supervisor, and then two other people that were doing expo, or making shakes, and doing cashier, that type of stuff. So I was like the only cook. And if I left, it would have been a whole disaster. I mean, it was already a disaster, let's be honest, but it was like, um if I left, it would have been like a more disaster for him, for the restaurant supervisor. So I was like, you know what, let me just stay. I don't know. So then I did, and yeah, it was a lot that day. We closed early. Either way, we closed early because we didn't have any beef prepped for the burgers. It was only one pan left, and then we were like, oh, we're definitely closing early because one, there wasn't enough staff to prep, and two, it was already a disaster, so we had to close the store. And then that day, I went home. I think my dad picked me up, or I don't know. And then I went home, and I was like out of it that day. I was out of it. And then the next day, I came back. My dad got COVID, and I didn't know he had COVID. But my roommate, the reason why I'm being quiet because my dad's roommates is in the other room, but my dad's roommate got COVID, and then my dad didn't know he got COVID, so he was wearing his mask, and then he was next to me, so I got COVID, and then once I got into my job, I was telling my general manager everything about what happened, and it was a whole disaster. And she was like, "I heard," and I was like, "Yeah, it was like the worst day ever." And then next thing you know, I started having symptoms that I had COVID, and then I told, I felt a little sick, and I was telling my general manager, I was like, "Oh, hey, my dad has COVID," and then she's like, "Okay, like." She said, go get tested and everything. And I was like, okay. So I go get tested, and turns out I got negative. Either way, I felt it. I felt that I was getting sick. And for some reason, she tells me and says, hey, this person called off. Can you do double shifts? Because this person called off. I'm like, no. I was like, maybe we'll see. I don't know. Like, I said yes, I think, but then I was like, I don't know. And then I told her I had COVID, and then she was like, damn. And I was like, yeah, so, all that type of stuff. And it was the worst day. The New Year's just begun. I worked so hard. Um, it was like a whole disaster. Now with Chipotle, it was, it was, um, it was fun working there because I got free food. I got 50% discounts when I wasn't working there. And did I get paid well? Not so much compared to Smashburger. I got paid more, but it doesn't make sense because in um in Smashburger I got paid $15 per hour, and then Chipotle $15.25. But I made like, I think I did like 7 to 8 hours in Chipotle, like half of the time. And I was getting paid like maybe like 500, 400, 600, almost $700. And then Smashburger, I got paid like a little bit more because I was doing more hours, and also because they needed me, and because there was short staff, and I would like do anything so I can get my hours, so I can get paid well, because I was like struggling with rent. Me and my mom we're literally living at an apartment that we had to pay like almost $1,000 for, like paying light bill, paying gas, paying the freaking rent, which was $900 for rent, and then including gas bill was like $100 and something dollars, and then not only that, light bill, so it was like literally over $1,000. Yeah, so I was like, okay, might as well just just do it, for me and my mom. And then so I would work so hard, but at that point I just started giving up, like towards like the end of April or anything around there. Like I started giving up because the general manager started getting was fired. She got fired around March because she was drinking, because she was going through it at that time as well. She broke up with her partner with her 2-year or 4-year relationship. I don't know. It was something like that. And they recently just broke up, and then she was like depressed and she started drinking. I don't know why like her partner dumped her. I don't know, whatever. And yeah, so the whole store, like, technically me and my coworkers were running the whole store because the managers didn't know that were running the store didn't really know what they were doing. So yeah, it was like a whole bunch of process. And also I forgot to mention that the general manager that was working there, since we worked there at the store originally, she got transferred to Michigan Avenue, and then she was the one that hired me, and then the manager that used to work there was actually supposed to be her assistant, but then she actually got promoted to become the general manager, and then she got switched to going to Schaumburg, and then the general manager from Schaumburg got switched to Mayfair because she was doing better in Schaumburg, and then the one in Mayfair was doing terrible. So she switched her because like things were doing better in Schaumburg, and then yeah, you get the point. And then yeah, it was just a lot that time. Yeah, and I was going through it because I was like, this job, I am not getting a raise. They keep telling me I'm getting a raise. I work so hard. I literally work so hard. No one pays attention. Like, even in Chipotle, I was working most of the time closing. Like morning shifts, like I would do morning shifts as well, but most of the time I will, well, maybe not most of the time. Like, I think it was like maybe like my 3rd or 2nd month working there, and I was like closing, and I was told what to do because I was new. And I was telling my friend about this, like, in Smashburger, like, since, like, I came back on August or July, like, I wasn't afraid to tell people what to do because they were newer than I was, because I was originally the OG person that worked there at that store. Even the general manager, he's new as well, so I know more than they do. So I was like not afraid to speak up and tell them like, hey, can you guys do this and do that? And then in Chipotle, I was like nervous and scared because like, one, they weren't almost the age as me. Most of them were like in their mid-20s or late 20s. And then, yes, there were some teenagers that were working there, but in Smashburger, there was mostly teenagers. I think so, maybe because I was comfortable working there. I don't know. And because I already been there, working there. And then, so yeah, like Chipotle, I was just feeling nervous, scared. I don't know what to do. I told the general manager, since I got the interview, I said I want to do grill and prep. And she's like, yeah, like, we'll definitely teach you in this and that, because she told me, what, out of all stations, what do you want to do? And I said grill and prep. And she's like, okay. And then the first thing they teach me is prep, which, like, I'm pretty sure that's where you start out first. Yeah. And then, like, 2 weeks later, I told her, hey, when am I going to learn to do grill? And she's like, oh, I want you to get this first so you can learn how to do grill. And I keep asking and I was like, okay. And then I keep asking the managers from Chipotle, I was like, when am I going to learn how to do grill? And they're like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if they're like, we have to schedule you to become, like, to train you or something like that. I don't know. But they did teach me kind of how to do grill a little bit, but not as much. But I wanted to be there to do grill. Exactly. Like, I wanted to learn how to do grill, but they didn't teach me. And that's what I wanted to work there, because it was so much. It looks fun. It looks satisfying. I have grill experience because I worked at Smashburger, and I can basically run the whole kitchen in the grill, because if I did it in Smashburger, where I made a whole bunch of burgers and we were busy as hell, and I did it by myself, then that means yes, I can do it in Chipotle as well. And I wanted to prove them wrong. Like, I can do it, and I can do like grill by myself. Yeah. But they didn't teach me. But yeah, another thing I was gonna say as well is that when I would close, um I swear to you, they would literally have packs, like dishes and dishes after dishes that I would have to do, and I would have to do the prep, and they wouldn't help me, and they see that I have dishes to do, and they would help me here and there, but the dishes, they just would be like, oh, like, like whatever, like they think they don't exist, they're not there, like they're like, what dishes? I don't see any dishes, like, like they 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 see them, I know they see them, but they be walking past, like, if they don't actually see them at all. I'm like, oh, okay, so that's how you're gonna do it. Okay, fine then, I guess I'm gonna just leave then, because then again, I was so annoyed. I was like working so hard, and it makes me emotional because it was like, I've been working like so hard and working like overtime in Smashburger. I would get like thick checks, and then in Chipotle I would like do everything I can, because the managers from Chipotle were telling me like, oh, did you do this? Like, and I was like, no, I didn't do that. And they're like, oh, but can you do it? And I'm like, but I have to go. Like, it's like literally almost 12. And not only that, like, my dad or my ride is outside, because at the time my mom would pick me up, or not my dad, but mostly my dad. Or if not, I would just walk it. And because at that point I was like, you know what, might as well just walk it and take the bus, because I don't want my dad to like get not enough sleep, because he works early in the morning. So I was like, might as well just do it. And then the managers would be like, oh, did you finish this? And I'm like, no, like, I didn't do that. And I'm like, I didn't finish it. And she's like, but can you do it? And I was like, can't you do it? Like, you're the managers, like it's, your guys are running the store. Like, I gotta go because my ride is here. Like, I'm sorry, I did most of what I did, okay? Like, I got to go. And I would get so frustrated and upset, because I'm like, I've had enough. Because it's same with Smashburger. Like, I would work overtime, if not double shifts. I would do prep, I would do fries, I would clean, I would do grill, do toppings, shakes, cashiers and expo. Um, Cashiers never. Expo, like, rarely. But yeah, and it was just like, I just had enough. Like, I know working at a job can be stressful, and don't get me wrong, like, not all managers are gonna be the same. But then again, for me, I'm just like, this is your job. You guys need to like go and be who you actually are. Because not only that, the original general manager that opened in Chipotle, she either got switched to a different store location, or I don't know, because a lot of people liked her because she was helping everyone. Because my trainer that was training me when I first worked there at Chipotle, she said everyone liked her because she was helping everyone. Like, she would help on dishes, she would help on prep, grill, on the line, whatever it was. Now, everyone else of the managers, like, they do that. Don't get me wrong, they do that. But I feel like I believe the trainer more, because she actually helped way more than everyone else. Because everyone else, and she even said it, like, she left because the managers there were lazy. And I'm like, I can tell, like, I can see, like, they do help because it's their job, but at the same time I can tell that they're lazy and they don't really want to help. So I'm like, because they think it's our job, and it is our job. But we need help. When we need help, we need help. Especially when it comes with dishes. Because this is ridiculous. Like, I would literally have dishes. Say, for instance, like, here would be, like, the table of where like they have the food, they'd be like, rice is right behind you, and then they would have like the rice, and they would scrape it out, and then they would have dishes stacking up right there, and then not only that, I have other dishes that are soaking in the water, and then some dishes that are like laying around there, and I'm like, oh, I just had enough. Like, working is just like too. That's why I want to work at Crumbl Cookie. Like, and that's why, like, I want to work there because one, it's like not so stressful. You're just making cookies. 3, because like you're just baking cookies, and you get free cookies, you get 50% off discount, and you get tips because there's like a self-checkout, well, not self-checkout, yeah, self-checkout thing where you can put tips for people. And then that's the only menu items they have is cookies, like, you know. So to me it's like, oh, it's not so stressful, I guess, like working there. And I gone to Crumbl Cooking, and I seen how like literally almost everything works. And I watched videos of people like working there. I watched videos of everything goes. I've done my research. I like know like almost everything about Crumbl. So I'm like a fan, I would say, you know. And I was supposed to get hired in Wicker Park, but I don't know what made me realize that when I got hired, the manager said, can you come this day? And I said, no, I work that day. And he's like, can you come this day? And I was like, no, I work that day. And he's like, okay, we'll send you an email on Tuesday. And I didn't know why I didn't say like, oh, hey, can I leave early? Like, because I already put in my 2 weeks at Chipotle, and I let Chipotle know. And then on that day, I literally applied Crumbl Cookie, and then the next day, I got the interview, like, so fast. And then supposedly got hired, and then I never got an email. And I was gonna call, and I should have called them, like, and said, hey, what happened, you know? And I did wanted to call them, but then at that point, I just kind of lost hope, because I was like, I don't know. And I also realized that I didn't know why this come to my head, and told like people from Chipotle and said, hey, can I leave early? I got something to do, you know, because I be seeing sometimes like they be leaving early, some employees, because they be like, hey, can I leave early? I got something to do, you know, this and that. And they're like, yeah, sure. And then, so, like, I was kind of scared, like I said earlier, I was kind of scared, like, going there, because, like, the managers were, like, different. I know them, but I was just, like, kind of scared because I was going through anxiety as well. And in Smashburger, I really wasn't. I was doing a bit better, and since I got used to working there, I would ask them and, like, just spoke, you know. And then in Chipotle, it was like a whole different story, you know, a whole different experience. And I just like had enough. Like 2022 was not it. The first year just begun. It was not it. I got COVID. My mom got COVID before I did, and then once she got COVID, I got COVID, and then my mom got COVID, my dad got COVID, and I got COVID. And then later on, like, a whole disaster happened in Smashburger, like 2 months later. And then I quit because I was over it. I was not getting enough money or getting a raise, I would say, because I was doing everything. I would do anything for working at Smashburger, but I realized that I'm working myself too much, that I need to put myself first. And then I started working at Chipotle. It was fun. There wasn't really drama. There wasn't drama, actually. And then they just would say, like, oh, did you finish this? Like, and I'm like, no. And they're like, can you finish that? I'm like, I gotta go, like, you know. and it was like so stressful because it's like I worked so hard, like I just couldn't deal with it anymore. Honestly, if I was still living with my dad, I don't know, I probably would have been depressed. I probably would have had more bad anxiety. I don't know, because not because like living with my dad is like a whole different experience. It's because like it's the apartment. It's the apartment itself. Like just by the looks of it gives me a little bit like sad and depressed. And then going with my mom, she gives me like happy because we were living together, and it was like a fun experience with my mom. And what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, without my mom, I like me living with her, I probably would have been happy like so much, like me living with my mom, because I would have been so happy because she was doing everything for me and helping me and telling me like, you know, you got this. Like she was telling me like, you got this, it's okay, you know, and this and that, things are gonna get better and whatever. And I was thinking, what if things don't get better? Because I don't know, like I was like literally over it for 2022, and I was just like getting so frustrated and getting mad because I was working so hard at Smashburger, and then not only that in Chipotle, which I was like getting annoyed because they weren't really like much of a help. I mean, they were helping, but there were sometimes they weren't helping. So it was like, you know. So I was like so annoyed. I just like would rather work at Crumbl because it seems easier. It seems like a better job. I have the opportunity to work full time, not like Smashburger and Chipotle. I do have the opportunity to work at full time, but maybe that's on them, like telling me like, hey, can you work these certain hours, like, or this and that. I don't know. And I kind of was working full time, but I don't know. You know, maybe mostly part time to be honest, because I was getting like 7 to 8 hours, then actually like 9 hours, you know, or 10. And yeah, so I was just like over it, yeah, and I was just done. And thank God that this year thank God 2022 has been over and start off a new year, because yeah, it was not it for me. It was not it. So hopefully I get to work at Crumbl. Because the one that I've been wanting to work at is in Lincoln Park in Fullerton, and they're opening on January 13th, which is a day after actually my birthday, which is the 14th. And they still haven't put the hiring sign yet, which I don't know when they're gonna put the hiring sign, but they should. And yeah, and so I don't know when they're gonna start putting the hiring sign. Yeah. But I was thankful for my mom for like helping me of 2022, being there for me, like helping me out, especially when I was like struggling with rent because we were living together and like I wasn't getting paid enough in Chipotle. And she was telling me why I quit Smashburger. I should have just stayed there. But I was like, the reason why I left because like I was over it. Like I sure hope like everyone that's watching this video understands like what I was going through literally in 2022 in the beginning, and then like towards the end I was like, I'm not working here. Like I want to work at a job where like people help each other, get along with each other. I mean, not everyone has to get along, you know, here and there, but what I'm trying to say is like I don't want any drama, as I don't want any drama, or like almost every day, cuz that's what literally Smashburger was. And Chipotle was fine. Like, there was no drama. But Smashburger was drama. So that's why I want to work at Crumbl Cookie, because Crumbl Cookie seems like they're like more welcoming, more nice people. Like, I get to work full times, I get to have tips, I get free cookies, I get 50% discounts. Um, yeah, and the only menu items they have is just baking cookies. Like, baking cookies, like, every day. Like, and then the new week, new flavors come out, and then they get to start all over again, kind of, but with new recipes. And then it's like, it's not even that hard, like, comparing to working those other two jobs that I work. I'm like, those seems a bit stressful. Well, Chipotle was not so stressful. Smashburger was. And so, yeah, like, I hope, like, everyone was watching this video that to see that what I was going through last year, and that why I left those jobs, and hopefully soon I get a new job, maybe work at Crumbl, hopefully. And, like, thanks for the advice for everyone that was giving me, like, my family, my friends. And yeah, and also because, like, I was struggling with anxiety, so I had to, like, quit eventually at those jobs. And yeah, hopefully. And also in 2021, like, I was another year that was, like, way worse for me, because I was struggling kind of with my mental health slash I was struggling with anxiety, depression, and um my gastritis. And then, like, towards, like, almost, like, the end of the year slash, like, during the summer, I was doing better. I was doing good because I was taking care of my health. And right now I'm still struggling with my health. I mean, the only thing I'm struggling with is kind of my anxiety. That's all. And yeah. But hopefully this year gets better for the most of us. If not all of us. But not everything has to be perfect. And I know that. But hopefully this year is better for the most of us, at least, like, than last year. And also, I also want to save up enough money if I work at Crumbl, or, we'll see how it turns out, and start doing my own Etsy shop, because I have my own Etsy shop account, but I haven't sold anything, or don't have any photos yet or anything. But I do have some things that I do want to sell in Etsy, like, for instance, glasses, because a lot of people compliment them when I go outside in public. They're like, "Oh, I love your glasses. Like, where did you get those? Where can I get them?" And I'm like, "Oh, I did them myself." And they're like, "Oh man." And then there was two people that actually asked me, like, "Leave your glasses here. They look so good. Can I have them?" Like, everyone was like that. So that's one thing. I also want to sell Starbucks cups, maybe slime. What else? Soap, because I seen how people make soap. I want to learn how to. I want to learn how to make soap, because I seen YouTube videos of how people make soap. So I want to do that, and I also want to learn how to. What else? Well, not learn, but actually, those are the things I actually want to sell. Yeah, maybe some other things as well. I don't know, but I hope this video makes everyone know that why I haven't been posting on YouTube. Why? I mean, I've been going on TikTok lately, because TikTok, like, is like where I can be myself most of the time, and on YouTube it's like, what do I do? Like, I can't really listen to music because we get copyright strikes, and we can't talk about things that are, like, kind of like on TikTok that you can talk about, but on YouTube you can't, because you get copyrighted. So it's like, okay, might as well just do TikTok. So like, yeah, and hopefully in the future, me and my mom were planning this, that hopefully we move in a house together, because I would love to move in a house with her. So that's why, like, I want to save enough money to start an Etsy shop, so I can sell stuff online, and then like save enough money, and then move in on a house with her and everything like that, and just start working at Etsy. Because my aunt actually, she doesn't work anymore, like at an actual job. She only does like home job or whatever. Like she sells stuff on Etsy, and her Etsy shop is doing well, and she makes money off of it, and I'm pretty sure she's getting paid well at the Etsy. And so yeah, like she doesn't work at a job anymore, so she's just doing Etsy shop, and that's kind of what I want to do. So I'm like, so I can make more money, because I'm taking my time and working work of art, and seeing people like have my work of art and be like, oh my god, that is me, that is like my work that I did. And then that would make me so happy, because I would see a lot of people being like, oh my god, this and that. So yeah, so hopefully a lot of people would see this and say, like, we got this. Hopefully this year's a better for all of us, and hopefully, yeah, hopefully this year is for better for the most of us. And yeah, like, we got this. I know a lot of people are struggling. I'm probably not the only one that's been dealing with this as well. Like, there's probably other people that have been dealing with this as well, like me. So hopefully this video can help someone else and be like, oh yes, we got this. Like, hopefully it gets better at the end of the day, So yeah, guys, thanks for watching. So I hope you like this video, and bye.